Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing Kid Icarus SP for the Nintendo Switch Online NES game service. I was able to get a week-long free trial thanks to a deal Nintendo was advertising about an online demo for Mario Tennis Aces, and so they said, hey, even if you've had an online service free trial before, we'll give you another one just because you picked up the game. So I said, cool, that's one way to do it. So, Kid Icarus SP is yet another one of Nintendo's many special editions of NES games, which I didn't bother playing all of them because there's just so many. But I decided to try this one because I liked The Legend of Zelda SP for what it tried to do, and I thought, oh, Kid Icarus, I actually was able to beat that game thanks to the 3DS Classics version. So as you can see, you actually start out on the final level of the game where Pit has all three of the sacred treasures and he's ready to take on Medusa at the end. It's actually quite satisfying to see Pit fly around on the screen. I mean, the NES had no shortage of fly and shoot games, but there's something about seeing an angel flying around free roaming without any restrictions that's just a joy to see with 1986 technology. However, I have to say, this being a Kid Icarus game, the music just seems way too happy for Pit about to storm up to Medusa. And then the final battle music is kind of just generic NES sounds. Also, I found that the controls were by far the worst part of this experience. Having been used to the 3DS remake, it was kind of jarring to see how slow Pit fires his arrows and how he doesn't have a rapid fire option like he did in the 3DS version. Nevertheless, this is an interesting way to introduce people to the Kid Icarus franchise because it basically gives Pit like everything. Because once you beat Medusa, you have the ability to start the game from scratch, except that Pit is fully leveled up and he has everything that there is to get. That does make me wonder why the programmers didn't go the extra mile of removing these hearts that appear, because unlike most video games, the hearts in Kid Icarus represent your currency, not your health. So picking them up is absolutely pointless. It's just the game is designed in such a way that it makes you like the sensation of collecting hearts, even if you don't need to. So let me reiterate that just like with The Legend of Zelda SP, this is not a remake. This is more so of an enhanced emulation, for lack of a better word, where they reload an old save and make an entire game out of it. So this is not going to fix any of the issues that were present in the original NES version, with the exception of what Nintendo Switch Online gives to any NES game, which is the ability to save at any time. You can have up to 4 save files, and you can go back to them if you mess up. Sadly, it lacks the rewind function that the SNES Classic Edition has, but nevertheless, having 4 save files really helps the game's longevity, seeing as the original version only had 1. Now, this comes with the NES Online games, so it's not so much a matter of should you get this game. If you get the NES games app for the Nintendo Switch Online, you're going to get this game anyway. It's more so a matter of, is this game worth it if you are on the fence about Nintendo Switch Online? I would say no, because I would definitely recommend the 3DS version over this any day. However, the original Kid Icarus could definitely get really, really frustrating at times. The dungeons oftentimes were very confusing, especially with the lack of a map. Not only that, but there were no checkpoints back in the day, so if Pit died, he would have to start all the way back at the beginning of a level, which is really, really painful. Thank goodness for those save states. Also, if Pit got hit with an eggplant, then he'd be unable to do anything until you found a hospital in the dungeon, which, again, easier said than done. I think Kid Icarus certainly deserves its cult following that it's given, but on the other hand, I think a lot of people say, well, it was just a byproduct of its times and it suffered as a result. Then again, saying that it's entirely a byproduct of its time would be entirely too cruel, because Kid Icarus does a lot of things unique that at the time, like a game centered on Greek mythology, wouldn't necessarily have thought about it this way. For one, it's a very light-hearted, mostly family-friendly game. Instead of having all the crazy rapes and brutal violence, it has this happy, upbeat, goofy charm. having eggplant wizards and reapers that instead of sounding creepy like they're from the depths of hell, it seems like they're just liking to have a dance. So overall, Kid Icarus definitely has its share of growing pains. I mean, it was the first in a franchise, and it also had a rough development cycle. The people that developed the original Metroid actually had to help them finish the game because they were having so much trouble with it. Nevertheless, it's definitely a worthy addition to your library. I just wouldn't recommend getting this version of it. I would totally say get the 3D Classics version on the 3DS because it gives you better controls and the ability to have Pit descend his fall by flapping his wings, which is an innovation first seen in Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. With that said, this is also cool to add to your library if you already have a Nintendo Switch Online membership because you automatically get the best ending possible. Yeah, that's right, an NES game that had multiple endings. You could really tell the developers of Metroid helped with this one. So be prepared for a much more buff Pit that is totally not like the version of him you see in Uprising. With that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this somewhat repetitive footage, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and let's watch this ending cutscene, because hey, how many other chances do you get to watch this? Bye for now.